get this started now. All right. Menoir, how you doing? Paul Trani here. Just going to do some live streaming on how to create multicolor fonts and how to also use them. So that's the idea. We'll just kind of wait for people to roll in and we'll get started here. So welcome. All right, I think we're okay. We're good. Yeah. All right, so Paul Trani here. Just going to do some. Except for that. All right, so welcome, Menoir, Zunny, Miriam, and everyone. Good to have you guys here. We're gonna talk about creating multicolor fonts and use them is the idea. So thank you so much for joining me today. This should be really good. And just tell me where you're from. I'm broadcasting from the San Francisco office. And yes, it is very beautiful out today. Beautiful, sunny San Francisco. Sunny after actually 10 a.m. typically is how it goes. But welcome. Just let me know where you're from. Always curious. And that'd be great. So we'll get started here in a second. What's up, Paul Rodriguez in the house? Awesome, Miriam. Yeah, where are you guys from? Where are you guys broadcasting, or where you guys living? Norway, Germany, Las Vegas. Cool, Paul. North Carolina, Holland, Colorado. Awesome. Which is where I usually am. But yeah, we're gonna dive into this because this is actually brand new. If you just give me a second. Brand new as we take a look. This is Illustrator CC 2018. So I am going to show you right now. So let's kind of switch gears. I'm going to have to glance over a lot kind of at the screen over off to the side if you don't mind. Just to kind of be able to see what the chat is doing. So Shannon, LA, Ukraine, Portugal, Lisbon, Bruno. Awesome. Joshua. All right. Awesome, guys. We're going to dive right into this. I'm going to share my screen. Again, this is Illustrator, so just give me 1 second. All right, let's get into this now. You can see here I am in Illustrator. Felicia, good to see you. Hello, Trinidad in the house. Awesome. So this is what I'm dealing with right now. These are actually multicolor fonts, right? These are really cool fonts that we have going on, but this is your example, right? We can see this abalone font, right? Obviously multicolor with gradients. This next one is Aries, Mega Zero, Playbox, and Popsy. I would love to tell you exactly everybody who created these, but I'll have to take a second look here. So Playbox is by Matt Lyon. Igor did Popsky, excuse me. Mega Zero is by Alex Truchet, who's an awesome designer. Aries, I love this. This Aries font is done by Yai Salinas, and then Abalone is done by Maria Grönlund, which you could tell because that's totally her style. But just a shout out to those people who created these fantastic fonts, because sure enough, yes, I can change this, or can I? Yes, I can, right? I can totally change these fonts. It's one font. You can see how I could change it here, obviously. And this is what gets interesting. As I take a look at this font is, he just did the lower, or excuse me, Maria just did the lower case. So when I type in ABE, that's all caps. So I got to turn that off. ABE works. You know, you get the idea. But I'm going to show you how to make these. It's going to happen with the help of FontSelf Maker. Okay, so that's actually what I'm going to use. Yeah, the black banner, sorry about the black banner jumping. Oh, why is it doing that? I don't know why it's doing that. All right, I just turned that off. I don't know why it's doing that. I deeply, I apologize. Got it fixed. All right, good thing I know what I'm doing sometimes. Sorry about that. Egypt in the house. Okay, fixed the black bar from jumping around. I apologize. That was actually a graphic that was in a playlist in Wirecast. Okay, so we're going to make our own fun font, all right? Which means I'm just going to go ahead and turn off these various layers. And again, this is Illustrator CC with multicolor fonts. So I can come in here and, you know, again, I can type out what I want. And what I want to do is I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E. I'm going to make a multicolor font because I think it will be fun to do so. You know, F, G, H, I. You get the idea. And I want to make sure I can spell yes. That's the idea. So these are the letters I can make, all right? And again, it could be anything. In terms of graphics when you're making a multicolor font. In this case, I'm actually going to change this font to I want a really cool, that's a good one. Balboa. This is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Balboa just to start. I'm going to kind of stretch it out a little bit, but I'm going to use this font maybe, but essentially I'm going to sort of start creating a font that Bungie. I'm trying to find a good one to start with, so bear with me. And yes. I wish I could remember the name of the font that I used earlier. Maybe it was Impact. But I'm really just using something to start with right now. And, you know, something what I'd like is I'd actually like a history of fonts would serve me well at this point. So let me just check. I want the font industry. That's what I want. That's the font I want to use just to start with. I'm using industry font. I'm going to change it. Just the color. And I'm going to go to Effect, 3D, and I'm going to just do an extrude and bevel. This is just the easiest way to make a multicolor font. Okay, I want a dimensional font, so I'm going to turn that on, turn it on preview. I'm going to angle it, maybe isometric left, something like that. Maybe adjust the lighting. Okay, so I'm just making this 3D font, as you can see. That looks all right. Clicking OK. We can see my font right here. I'm going to expand. So ready? Expand appearance of this 3D created type that has all this different shading in it now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to colorize it. So I'm going to go to Edit, Edit Colors, Recolor Artwork. And rather than having all these blues, I'm actually going to tighten this up some more. I'm going to edit, and I'm going to start moving these around. So let's crank up the saturation and get something fun at this point. I could start deleting some of these colors if I want to. So I could say remove color, removing some of these colors that are part of the, you know, various sort of shading elements. I'm going to keep this side for sure. So you notice how I'm just turning that to pink. And let's make sure these are unlocked. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm assigning the former blues to different colors, right? So I can click OK. Let's go back in there actually. Recolor artwork, edit, these colors, removing some of them. See, as I start to change these. So the reason there's so many colors is because I had shading turned on for this 3D font, right? But you can start to see how I can change these. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just remove these colors. So many colors in here, stacked on top of another. Here's a good one. This might be my front. Let's go back in there real fast. Yep, still a lot of blues. There we go. So now you'll start to see some things change a little bit more drastically, right? So I kind of have it refined down to these sort of top colors, right? The more colors you have, the uglier it might be. I want the front color to be a gold. I'm going to have the sort of the other colors. Let's remove. There we go. We can change it to something like that. I can have different versions essentially. But again, the goal here is not to really give you this lesson in color theory and more about making fonts, right? But I am trying to get something that kind of pops and looks good is my goal. Okay, looking at the chat, sorry. Yes, it does look 80s, and I could go for that. I was kind of going for a futuristic 80s, so it's like if it was sort of the 80s take on the future is kind of the font I was going for. But I definitely want something vibrant. So that's the plan. And help me out, guys. What looks good? There we go. Let's do this something like this. All right, that's done. Clicking OK. That's all I've done with this font, right? I'm going to ungroup this. An isometric font. The B looks really good. The F looks good. The G looks good. The H looks good. I can start to customize this further, but I want to show you how to make fonts now. So what I'm going to use is, this is just a shout out to FontSelf Maker, right? So that's what I'm using, FontSelf Maker 2.1.2, which is brand new. And essentially, this is what it looks like. The latest version will allow you to create color fonts. So now all I need to do is, say for instance, grab this H, drop it in here, and then assign it to the H character, just like that. Hopefully that makes sense. Just dragging that graphic over and labeling it whatever letter I want to label it. Keep in mind that's an uppercase, so I need to be mindful of uppercase versus lowercase. And again, I can just do this for a couple of letters, not for all of them, because we want this to be a fast stream and not boring. That's the idea. L. O. All right. Again, I'm just going to take a couple letters that are going to spell out a word. Miriam, yes, I would do Halloween colors. I think that would be fun. I'm actually going to do a live stream tomorrow on creating some fun Halloween fonts on the Illustrator page. So join me for that. That'll be cool. H-E. I think it's cool how many adults like Halloween. You know, I'm totally into it. I'm in San Francisco and I didn't bring any of my stuff with me. Ooh, that'd be fun. Hey, Gus. Yeah, Stranger Things. That would be a good idea. My font that I make tomorrow is going to be a Halloween font. It's going to not quite be Stranger Things, but it is going to be kind of a scary one. So that's the idea. Gus, good to see you, man. Yes, you can do A to Z at one time if you want to. I haven't done that. I think I just need to grab those all. So these have to be labeled if I'm going to bring them all in. But if I grab a couple of these and drop them in, you know, it does bring them in, and it's kind of the same effect. So S, T, just like that. I'm not going to do all of these because, again, I don't want this to be a boring stream, but I can grab multiple and drop them in. As long as they're grouped appropriately, it should be fine. There we go. I, J. All right, done and done. Right, remember I've upgraded to FontSelf Maker 2.1.2. That's done. Right here, if I click color font, it'll say, hey, you know what? You can go ahead and make your own color font. It's only going to be usable in Illustrator CC 2018, Photoshop CC 2017, and not in older versions, and not quite in InDesign yet. So the font managers aren't going to display the fonts in color. So when I export it out, it's actually going to look black, like black and white, but that's not the case. All right. Also notice once I implement this font, if I start using a color font, if I open that up in a previous version of, say, Illustrator CC 2017, it will outline the font, which is totally fine. Just be aware of that if you're sharing files. That's all I'm doing right here. I'm going to go ahead and export this out. I can call this 3D font and put it on my desktop just to show you what's going to happen. So let me go to my desktop now. After that's done, let's go ahead and open this up. See, of course, it's not going to display like I mentioned because the operating systems, these font managers won't really recognize it, but it actually is there. And notice right in here, once you make the font, you can just click install and it will do that right away. So it says, hey, you know what? That was just installed. You can go ahead and have some fun with it now. Right? This isn't my font. What is my font is right in here. Select what I call it, T for 3D. There's my 3D font listed right here. You notice I've made other ones as well, but here's my 3D font. Selecting it. Hello. You guys get the idea. Cool. Easy enough. Sorry I was ignoring the chat, guys. I apologize. Yes, so Felicia, yeah, so FontSelf Maker is not an Adobe property, if you will, but it is available. In fact, we can jump out to fontself.com and we can kind of take a look at it. I'm not sure how much it actually goes for. So, all right, here you are. You can get the bundle for Photoshop and Illustrator. You know, a one-time fee for as little as $49, as much as $98. So, still not a bad deal, guys. They're really cool people, and yeah, I think it's totally worth it. And no, they didn't pay me to say that, but they will appreciate it. So there it is. Notice how I can create outlines. Of course, we're back where we were, but just to show you that it exposes all of the vectors, even the ones that are behind. So it's fully editable, everything that I'd expect it to be. It's an SVG font for those who care about that format. Okay. What about the result of gradients on paper? I'm not sure what you mean there. But I can add gradients. If I can make it in Illustrator, I can turn it into a font. In fact, it doesn't even have to be like a character, right? And I think I've shown this before, but let me see if I can access my library panel. You can start making sort of different emoticons or whatever. So here's, here's a graphic. Again, sorry for the shameless self-promo, but here, this is where we've got something much more advanced, right? If I select it, you can see all these vectors, right? There's a lot going on with my hair, essentially, and that's typically the case. There's a lot going on with my hair, right? But the key thing is, I can take any graphic and turn it into a multicolor font. In this case, I'd make sort of more of an emoji style, and then I can use that in Illustrator and Photoshop is the idea. Getting those onto an iOS device is another thing that's not done easily. So yeah, I don't know how to say your name, but we probably will go over the new Puppet Warp capabilities, for instance, because we do have that as well. That's like a new thing. So that's right over here, Puppet Warp tool, right? So if I do decide to make a font, and maybe I start with something like this, but with this selected, here's the Puppet Warp tool. Since we're talking about new features, as soon as I click on it, notice I can add a point, add a point, add a point, right? So now we can start to bend that this way. Do the same thing for this next one, right? So again, Puppet Warp tool, love it. Actually kind of surprised that it took so long to get into Illustrator. So this is much easier than bending vectors like we're used to, right? And notice if I double click inside of it, it bends all of those vectors exactly the way I'd expect it to, right? So it's not like it does anything weird, you know? Essentially, Puppet Warp tool actually bends those Bezier points. Oh, let's put one right here in the middle. Click. I kind of move that one over. You get the idea. Cool. Oh boy, for something called art, this looks awfully lame. I apologize, guys. You need to call me out on this. You'll be like, dude, that's so lame. I get it. So lame. So bad. Maybe if I change the color, right? But the point is I've used the Puppet Warp tool. I could do the same thing for making fonts there. I could drop that in there. But essentially, that's how I'd turn around and make a font pretty easily. And you can see the examples that I was working on here. Let me zoom out. Maybe turn on some layers. There we are. So this is just kind of some artwork that I was working on. So essentially you can see how that's made with a specific font. As I double click on it, if I want to make it 3030, I could do that, or 2017. You get the idea. It's a font, I can change it, it's done. Any more questions? Puppet Warp, gotta love it, Olga. You're exactly right, I love Puppet Warp. And I know this artwork needs some more work, but again, super cool that I'm able to do this. Was just trying to make some fun artwork with this in a short amount of time. That's the idea. But it could look better. Juan Pablo, you're saying it could look better. Hey, I respect it. I respect that. But it could look better. I don't know which one you're saying. Yeah, the art totally needs to look better. This actually needs some more work as well, because even as I take a look at this, I would need to line up these lines with one another, right? And making sure each one, like one melts into the other. That's what I like about it. It's how this is like one's melting into the next, but it's not fully aligned. So I'd probably spend more time tweaking this to get it the way I want it. But you guys get the idea. Obviously, other designers did a fantastic job as well. I always do that. I always like accidentally screw up and start typing in. This needs to be all caps. Love this font. Don't you love it? And so what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing lots of multicolor fonts popping up on various font services, as well as like various websites. You know, you can probably see it on, you know, basically on Adobe stock, for instance, which will be cool. All right, guys. Oh, yeah, thank you so much. I just read a comment and it just scrolled away, but you are right. As I start to take a look at the weighting and the kerning for these, so let me just go into advanced, but you can see right in here, I did not do every letter, but you can see I can do an auto space for the kerning between the different letters, or monospace, and I can actually adjust it accordingly. So let me take the E, for instance. Here's the E, and I can start to adjust, the spacing for this particular letter as I expand that out or make it a little tighter, right? So you can adjust the kerning per letter as well as the leading. So good call. Thank you for mentioning that. Looks sort of crazy. Spacing has issues. Oh, thank Juan Pablo. And Juan Pablo likes giving me a hard time about design stuff. But again, I have a little bit of time. Join me tomorrow because I'm going to dive into kind of making some fun stuff, some fun Halloween type graphics that I'm still kind of working on that you'll see tomorrow. Also, what we have going on is we have a really cool live stream happening in the next 3 days. It's all around packaging and Adobe Dimension. That's what I'm about to type in here. Tomorrow. Big promo. There we are. Appropriate. So we're going to talk about packaging and Adobe Dimension tomorrow. This is going to be on behance.net/live. Join me for that. Adobe Dimension tomorrow. Packaging and really simulating real products like as if they're in the real world, but giving you all that flexibility that you want. All right, guys. Thank you so much for that, Gus. Awesome. Miriam and everyone. Thank you so much. Kind of the spur of the moment stream. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate everybody here. And you guys have a wonderful day. And hope to see you again soon. And hope to honestly see you as soon as tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. See ya.